Hey guys, it's Tim Gillette Show, and we're back here with another episode of our Tim Gillette Show, where I interview some of the most interesting people that I've found on the internet. In some cases, all right, I connect to people who connect me to them, like our last guest and our current guest. I connected to Sheryl through, I think, David Fagan, who was on last week. I don't know. We're going to find out how she connected to us, because literally, it is so cool to connect with people, and they just go, "Yeah, I want to be on the show," and they do it just like that. So Sheryl is somewhat of a video expert, and I'm sure we're going to find out details about how she helps people, her story, and the interesting things that make her interesting. Sheryl Plouffe. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
First try, I got it right. Yay!
You know what? It's a French-Canadian name, and if you said Plouffe or Plouffe, I'm totally fine with it, Tim.
As long as, hey, I'm the king of, my last name's Gillette. People cut it up all the time. Some people get the joke. Some people you have to explain. Anyway.
I get it. I love it. Is it 3 blades or 4, or what are we at now? 8 blades?
I think I'm up to, I'm really cutting the edge with 6 blades right now. I'm a 6-edged guy.
I love it. So great to be with you. And yes, we are connected through David Fagan. We were on a call recently together, and you were talking about your podcast. I'm like, hey, I'd love to be able to come on and share some tips and tricks and concepts that might help your audience.
Yep. So yeah, and I met David, long time ago, and something just went wrong with my one link. Hope it fixes itself here in the next couple minutes. But yeah, I met David a couple years ago, and I just reached out to him a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, you want to be on my show?" All right. And I think at first he was like, okay. And he gets on the show, and he's like, "I got to recommend you to a ton of people." So yeah, it's so cool. So I noticed that you're a lot into video. Tell us about what you do and how you help people.
Well, I'm a 25-year television broadcasting veteran. Spent 17 years doing thousands of hours of live broadcasting here in Canada at the Weather Network, which is the Weather Channel equivalent here in Canada. And so I've done all these, years and years and years of broadcasting. And it got to a point where I decided, hey, you know what? A lot of what I've learned in broadcasting can be applied to the entrepreneurial space. And so I decided to go out full tilt, go full time, and really just help people now. So really what I do is I'm helping entrepreneurs to increase their authority, which in turn increases their income when they're properly positioned online. And I do that with video, because that's what a lot of people are gravitating to. We see that, we're hockey sticking up with the video consumption. And so that's my specialty. It's really smartphone, webcam. This is not, Tim, like about, massive video production and having 8 people follow you around with a video crew. This is about how you can use the things you already have to be able to position yourself that way. So yeah, long time spent in TV broadcasting, taught college, managed the news and information department, like as the news manager, did a variety of different things. And now I'm able to take that experience and bring it to this space.
Cool. So, the broadcaster, first of all, you are forever known as the weather girl. I'm just curious.
A little bit. Yes. Although, it's funny now, I don't really get recognized in grocery stores as much as I used to, which maybe is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think when people find out that I was, the weather girl, it's not something that really shakes off very easily. But I love it. I'm really proud of my experience. I'm really proud of having done what I did in the weather field. Most of the day-to-day was, is it going to rain? Is it going to snow? But there were some times where it got a little dicey. We had one tornado outbreak in Southern Ontario, and I can remember exactly what year it was now, but we had 27 tornadoes that evening, and my colleague and I were on live solid for, I want to say 6 hours solid. And so that one is the one that comes to my mind as being a real standout. But so many great experiences in broadcasting.
Okay. I've not had the experience of being in the broadcast studios other than twice I've been on shows. Other than that, I was at political campaigns back in the day where, I was trying to stand behind the candidate as
right. You're like,
I'm sure you've seen me.
I have seen you. You look familiar.
So, now though, you are now helping people though do video and stuff too, though, are you not?
Yeah, we have a variety of different things that we're doing. I mean, a lot of it is helping people, right? Empowering them to create their own videos. And so that's why I say video strategist, because strategy is really where it stems from. You have to have a strategy. I really always recommend that entrepreneurs examine their content strategy. And of course, I specifically focus on video at least once per year.
Mhm, mhm.
Where you were a year ago is very different than where you are now and where you want to go. You have to reanalyze, that strategy and take a good hard look at it. Last year, my strategy was Facebook Live.
Mhm.
This year, my strategy is YouTube for different reasons. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we all have to make sure that we're really doing the things and taking the actions that we need to take to get where we want to go.
yeah. So, I mean, like we broadcast ours on Facebook Live and YouTube Live is how we broadcast our thing. But
Mhm.
are you having a lot of clients, getting confused about the broadcasting to YouTube using live, or are you just getting YouTube videos up?
You know what? I mean, I always do recommend that people integrate both live stream and recorded video in
Mm,
their overall strategy, right? Live, there's nothing like live enough, because that's where the world I come from mostly too, is there's an energy, right? There's an energy about this conversation because we know it's live. It's like we can't edit it out. We're not going to go back. And I think there's a special energy there. Having said that, there's also a place for recorded video that's going to maybe have more of a shelf life and has
mhm.
legs to it, a more evergreen, if you will. And there's a real benefit to that as well. So I do like to teach both.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because mine's been the live thing, but I mean, yes, I do some of the others, but live has been my hugest thing. I love it, and I was just wondering your opinion on that. Um, so when you get into teaching people and helping people use the video stuff like this, and you said you want to help, be the strategist that you are. All right. Was there someone who mentored you and said, you should be teaching this to others? All right. And you want did you get the thing like, huh, me? Or did it just naturally go, oh yeah, I'll do that?
You know what? I think in the early going, when I was following, there were certain people that I was following who were creating online e-learning education platforms. There were
Hmm.
people who were building personal brands. I'll name a few: James Wedmore,
Hmm.
Amy Porterfield,
Hmm.
Marie Forleo, Derek Halpern, Brendan Burchard. I mean, I can name a whole host of different people. Lewis Howes. These are
Hmm.
some of the people who, when I was really first starting out, I looked up to them. I listened to their podcasts. I watched their videos, and I was like, if they can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And the only thing that's standing in the way is me. So
Hmm.
why can't I do that? I've had the opportunity to have a rarefied experience in television here in Canada, and I knew that it was valuable. So I really just set out to on that path at that point. But it wasn't any one particular person who said, "Hey, you should really do this." It was me.
Hmm.
It was me who looked
Cool.
inside and said, "There's no reason why I can't do that." And I've always had that approach, Tim, since I was 17. Grew up poor. I just have had a really strong work ethic since I was, 15, 17. That's really when I started branching out into modeling. And I actually was hosting a news magazine TV program when I was 19 years old,
Hmm.
with no experience. It was
Hmm.
because, I'm a bit of a go-getter, that's in that sense, and I don't limit myself.
Cool. You're talking about how you were doing news and doing stuff like that. In today's news world, all right, there's people who are, well, here in America, all right, here in the United States versus Canada, maybe it is up there too, but we seem to be polarized on how we take our news nowadays. All right. Are you one of those people when you were in the news, were you just like trying to be on camera and let me get this off? Or were you like trying to like, let me cram my opinion on you? And I'm not picking on either channel doing that. But like, did you have a style, I guess is what I want to know about doing it.
I think I'm thinking about when I was managing the news department. We definitely took an unbiased approach to it, as you
Yeah,
should
yeah,
in
yeah.
journalism, right? And so, no, it didn't really slant one way or the other. I always liked to take that approach of it's really about the message, it's really about the storytelling, it's about the news and information that we can share. Let people make their own determination and make up their own minds and opinions about what is we're sharing. But
Mhm.
we always definitely took a balanced approach to that.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? It's I've heard this on a lot of people who they teach on video, and they say, kind of if you're telling your story, pick one person or something like that, direct all your content towards like one person and make that your avatar. Is that similar to what you're doing, is helping people do that? Or are you helping otherwise in the camera?
Yeah, I think, when I think about my coaching programs and different things that we do like to start with who is it that you're trying to attract? Because it's like, that's a fundamental thing. If you don't know that, then we have to do that work to uncover who that is, because you need to know who your audience is. So that is really a key part to it. One of the things from a video communication standpoint is I do teach that method of, I call it the HiMom Method. And the HiMom Method is just picture your mom, someone that you're close to, or someone that you trust in the lens, like right inside that little pinhole lens. It should be one person. One of the biggest mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make is, whether live or recorded, is they'll come on and be like, hey, everybody, hi, everyone, right? And so that doesn't really necessarily build as strong a connection between you and that person if you're just addressing everyone in a more generic way. It's best to approach it and say, hey, how are you today? I'm glad that you're here. That's a very different approach. And that's what we always did in everything that I've ever done in television. The key is always talking to one person and making that connection.
So you see shows like mine. All right. And this could be a coaching moment. This could be a kick in the butt for Tim. I don't know if I need to go down this road or not, but you see shows like mine where I basically just come on camera and start talking to people, as opposed to having this big old show entry, pre-show intro. What's your opinion on pre-show intro, or just for us entrepreneurs doing shows like this?
I love it. I love this approach.
Yeah.
I really think, why I love this approach? Because this is really genuine and authentic to you. Very, and I love the fact that, and can I say this, but we didn't have a lot of lead up and 8,000 meetings to decide what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
I love that, because I think that's where authenticity that's where it lives. It lives in the moment conversations without having to over and pre-plan. Do I support planning? When you're doing a recorded video, sure, have 3 bullet point form notes you want to make, the things you want to tell. But speak from the heart. Let it come out. Let it be natural and authentic is always, in my opinion, the best way. As far as, video intros are concerned, when I was first starting out, I remember, and I'm a self-taught editor, I edited this whole amazing intro, and it was like, images of me on the set, and I was like, all this, and it looked amazing. I was so proud of myself. And then I found it actually didn't really work for me, because it used up some really valuable time at the beginning of the videos, whereas I should have been just quickly getting into what's valuable to the person who's watching. So I actually don't support, in most cases, that people have these long intros. It can work for some people, but not all.
So that's one of the things I don't have, and I think it's opinion, but you know what I mean, and that's why I asked your opinion onto it. But the other thing is now, I'm going to be part of Video Marketing World, which is here in Texas this weekend, and connected to the 2 guys that are on that, and they're big on using the thumbnails on YouTube.
Yeah,
creating thumbnails on YouTube, should they all be the same for your show? Like mine right now have all of my show on there, or should each individual one be something similar and something different on it? Tell me about your opinions on thumbnails.
Well, let me tell you about my history with thumbnails on YouTube first. I've sucked at them for a long time. Thumbnails are really important and key to the click-through rate, the CTR of your videos, right? Because the more people who see them, the more likely they want to click, and then the more views you get. So it is really, really a key thing. What I used to do was and I've tried all kinds of different templated, all different things. What I used to do was I used to cram all of the words of the title of my video on the thumbnail, right? Until I knew better. And so what I'm doing now, and I think I'm really definitely moving in a better direction in this sense, I do make them a little bit different. I like to, because I'm building a personal brand, and this is where it comes back into strategy, Tim, right? I'm looking to build a personal brand. So I feel it's important to have my image on my thumbnails because it's really about me. What I do is I actually use my phone, and I will take a specific image for that thumbnail with, some type of, face or moment, or, I'd be like, hey, or ha, or whatever the thing is. I will take that and then I will use that image on that specific thumbnail. That
Mhm.
seems to be working well for me. And I've also made it so that the words on the title or on the thumbnail, no more than 4 words, as much as possible. Try to really keep it clean, big letters. Sometimes I'll use icons and different pictures in the background and make them less, opaque. And so I think it's about experimentation to some degree, but
Mhm.
thumbnails are really, really key. I have done things the wrong way. I'm starting to do things the right way now. One of my most recent videos is about Zoom green screen technology. It's like I think it's over 20,000 views in the last week, which is
Mhm. Mhm.
great. But that thumbnail has a really big, like a really bright green background because it's about green screens. I
Mhm.
think that helped. I
Mhm.
think that just the design of that thumbnail has helped that video succeed.
Cool, cool. I mean, yeah, because that's something I'm trying to get down right now is the thumbnails. The second thing when it comes to video that I always have to ask, a video person is the background behind you.
Mhm.
Again, you mentioned green screen. I don't have a green screen. This is my office. All right. And yes, I mean, yeah, I even left my bottle of moonshine there. I'm sorry.
Don't be
Um,
sorry. I love it.
yeah. But are you key on the green screen, or would you rather see someone do something that's them behind them?
I think again, it comes back to what kind of brand you're trying to build. For
Mhm.
me, I'm trying to really relay that that things don't have to be perfect in order to be successful. So for me, it makes sense for me to show just the backdrop of where I am. I'm
Yeah.
actually in my living room right now. I'm between the kitchen and the living room. That to Because I like to lead by example. I like to show by example that you don't have to obsess over your backgrounds before you make the video. So that's
Yeah. Yeah.
aligned for me as far as brand building is concerned. And
Mhm.
you might see, my cat's over here, and you might see my husband walk behind me, and it's like, I work from home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, that works. Now, for someone who has a background where it's like maybe not ideal, maybe it's messy, maybe it's, whatever the case may be, a green screen could be beneficial in that case because depending again on the type of image you're trying to portray, you might want to hide all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really it's a case by case basis and you have to figure out what's really going to work for you. It's more about, is this aligned to the almost the subliminal messages that you're wanting to
Mhm.
send as you build your brand. So
Mhm.
this makes sense for me. That makes sense for you because you are on that path too of being authentic and just coming out being you, and it is what it is.
Mhm.
And that's what's going to build your brand. If you had a green screen and you had Hawaii behind you,
That's not me. Trust
that's
me.
not you. That's not you.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that I've done and I've watched is the people who try to artistically set up. Like, I don't have any fancy lighting coming back. I'm still trying to find like my thing is I love Jackson Pollock painting.
Yeah, I do too.
I
Yeah,
would love to afford an original and have it
sure.
right
That'd
there,
be
but
great.
it's not in the budget yet. But
One
I
day.
want an original Pollock, and I would love to have that behind me. But I've always tried to have it plain. But I see some people who basically, are now, all right. I have CNBC on, and they have, people in their houses right now. I've watched Jay Leno and all, well, not Jay Leno now, but like the night guys,
Yeah.
Conan, and we've watched them in their house set up
Fallon's been doing a show for 3 weeks from his house.
from
It's
his
amazing.
house. Yeah, yeah. So it's like I'm watching that because to me, I've been doing that for years, live streaming from my house with my background and watching Jimmy Fallon do it. Like, oh my gosh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
But CNBC, I'm now getting to see what these hosts who I've only seen on a network in their real homes.
Yeah.
And I noticed the one guy, all right, for weeks, he was just like they had his picture and he was on the phone. And now all of a sudden he's on camera again. So apparently, I don't know how they've orchestrated his setup, but so many people focus on it as to whether I have to have this right. Do you have tips for those people who want to go? I mean, here's a simple way to get started. Do you have like some simple things they should do to get started to not focus on it?
Well, you know what? I mean, focus on your message,
Mhm.
right? Focus on what it is that you really are the stuff that you're here meant to do. Like
Yeah.
focus on what it is you want to share. I think too many people obsess over everything being perfect before they ever start. And the truth is, you have to take imperfect action to get anywhere you want in life or in business.
Yes.
You got to take imperfect action. So you might not have 5-point lighting systems, and you might not have fancy backgrounds, and you might be whatever. But what matters is the value you're sharing, the content you create is the far and away the most important thing. One of the trainings that I've done, Tim, is where I actually take a snapshot of all of those people that I was mentioning earlier, the favorite gurus that I've followed all those years ago. And I went back on their YouTube channels from way back in the beginning, like 9 years ago, 8 years ago. And I took snapshots of each of them and put them on a slide. And it's a slide that I share in my training, and you'll find it on my YouTube channel. And it's interesting because none of them have anything fancy going on. Marie Forleo is sitting on a brown couch, Brandon Bouchard standing in front of a whiteboard with like sticky notes. There's nothing fancy about it. They all started where they were. And what mattered most was their message. And if more entrepreneurs would just do that and say, forget about having everything perfect, I need to get my message out there, then more people would succeed.
I'm trying to think back to like my first interview I ever did on camera. I think I did it from an iPad in a chair that we had in the corner of our bedroom.
That's great.
And like this girl said, I'm doing this series. I want you to be on it. I'm like, okay. And I didn't even have a microphone back then. I had the earbuds, the iPad, and we sat in the corner doing it. But I've done videos from all over. I used to have the flip camera and all this stuff. Like they were more planned out. I did one from the park that an earlier guest on this morning, her and her boyfriend spoke at my event, and he brought up my video from the park, and I'm like at my event, and I'm like,
you're like, okay, where do I crawl? What rock do I crawl?
Really, like, why are you showing that to these people of what I looked like 10 years ago? Please don't. But that is, if we didn't get started, we wouldn't learn.
No. And I did a video from, I can't remember when it was, a couple of years ago. We were at my son's hockey tournament, and I thought, you know what, I really want to show that this whole perfection thing is just like, it was just an overarching theme that just kept coming up. I thought, I was wearing a lime green hoodie. I had really no makeup on. I had baseball cap on, I don't remember. And I put my laptop up on a garbage can at the arena, and I had to lower myself, I guess, spread my legs apart so I could be a little lower down into where the camera was. And I did the whole video. It was one of the most successful videos at that time, because I wanted to demonstrate, guys, it's not about the perfection of everything else that's going around you. It's just sharing a message. And to your point, listen, you wouldn't be here. It's evolution. It's a path. It's like, you wouldn't be here if you hadn't been through that, and you won't be there if you hadn't done this. You've got to continue to keep taking those steps. Yeah.
So very, very true. And I look at the progress, and I look at the steps that I've made throughout the years. And now I have clients, which I'm sure you do too. I have clients calling me and asking me, well, Tim, how did you do this?
Yep.
How do you do that? All right. How does this work? Is that how you got into mentorship of it? Like, you know what I mean? Or did you just go one day, I'm just going to start creating and being a mentor?
I think I realized years ago that I wanted to create my own information products and services. So I've been on the path for a long time, but that evolved. What I used to teach has evolved because I consider myself, and really my responsibility is to, if I want to be a leader, is to lead. My responsibility is to be up on the latest changes in certain social platforms, and looking at COVID-19 and saying, okay, what does this really mean for people, and taking charge. I did a training soon after COVID-19. It's on my channel now. It's 22 minutes of solid strategies around what to do post COVID-19. You have to be a thought leader. You've got to be a leader in your space. So you've got to be up on your industry. You've got to know what's going on. And so what I taught 5 years ago is different than what I teach now. It'll be different in the future. But I guess I always knew that people needed help, because even from the early going, people would ask me questions. I would listen. This is a big tip. If people are asking you questions about something, you have to make note of what those things are, because that is a huge clue. That's a huge clue. That's the lowest hanging fruit, FAQs, right? What are the frequently asked questions? That's a great place for you to start to create videos about those things. So I guess I always recognized that there were certain people that needed help in certain areas, and it has evolved over time. And that does definitely stem, or rather, it's a catalyst toward a product or a service in that specific area for sure.
Cool. So, I mean, so I did my live videos. I got involved with live video show with Blab. Do you remember Blab? Were you on Blab or no?
No, I don't.
Okay. So that's where I got started on live video. And I forever did not want to get on live video. I did not want to do it. In the beginning, I didn't want to do a podcast or a radio show. I was a blogger. And that was my comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So I get on Blab and I find out people love to see me on live video. So now I'm like, oh wow, okay. So I gotta perfect this. I gotta work with this. And so now I'm starting to reach out to who can help me with this, who can help me better this, right? Who can help me do this better? And I start asking weird questions. So we've talked about awful lot about things, but I'm gonna go down a road here of interesting questions because
Sure.
I've seen this, all right, and I have a friend. This is probably not your forte, but you probably know somebody and plug people into this. Clothing that you wear on screen, the dress you have, all right? I mean, from the clothing you wear to the clothings we wear, does it have purpose in your, is it something you teach clients to have purpose in their videos?
Yeah, I think, one way of looking at clothing is that it can almost serve as a prop.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think it depends again on what type of image you want to portray. It's about image. It's not really about how you're dressed as much as it's about image.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if I think back on TV experience, I was employed by someone to look a certain way.
Yes.
And I had to fit the what it is that they wanted. In fact, so much so that we had contracts that we had to sign that said, we cannot change our hair drastically without approval and different things. So we're filling the gap of what they want represented.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is you're in the driver's seat. You can decide how you want to present yourself, what image you want to present to the public. And so, dress however you feel comfortable. I like the idea of, in certain cases, of people building a personal brand where they have a uniform, right?
Yeah.
Very, it's like I always wear a black t-shirt, or, I'm just thinking about, what's her name? Glennon Doyle. She always wears a black tank top. And someone actually recently asked, why do you always wear a black tank? She goes, because I don't want to have to think about, it takes too much energy for me to think about what to wear. That's perfectly on brand for her to give that explanation. For me, I think that I like to present a polished appearance. I think something that looks nice, but I'm not necessarily trying to get dressed up super, super fancy. I wore this today and I thought, you know what, it's a little bit brighter. I wanted to wear something that just represents, something a little bit more upbeat. But, it's each person has to make that decision about how they want to present themselves from an image standpoint. But it is important. Clothing is definitely a part of that. And so is jewelry, and so is hair, and so is makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, it doesn't make sense for them to wear a lot of makeup. If you are a yoga instructor, for example, are you going to wear as much makeup as what I'm wearing? No, it would look weird, right? It would look weird. So you have to figure out your image per se on camera. And I do teach that to some degree, but I also don't teach it from the standpoint of being obsessive about it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people want to hang on to him well, I don't have all my image set out yet. I don't have my image down yet, so I can't possibly start. And it's like, no, you're going to start, even though you don't have all the answers yet, and your image will evolve over time.
Cool. I was thinking too, though, along the lines, like, when you were at the studio where they might have used the green screen or blue screens more often, there was certain clothes that you couldn't wear.
That's right.
All right. And, I see people who don't quite understand that concept sometimes, understand that, what's tinging off your thing is that green screen and the shirt you have on, it's like, yeah.
Well, I touch on that in my YouTube video because when you have a green screen, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Because now you can't wear green, or really most shades of green you cannot wear, or you're going to be see-through, right? We did have green screen. I know some studios have blue, but we had green. So anything, obviously green was off. We weren't able to wear it. Same with yellow. There were certain teals that we weren't able to wear. Red we weren't able to wear. We also tried to avoid harsh white, harsh black. Like, it was very limiting in that sense. But when you don't have a green screen, it's really more about the image you want to project.
Cool. Yeah, cool. And I like that you actually did address that. Now, many people will be doing live shows like we're doing today. All right. They record their podcast this way. And what's your opinion on the, I know a lot of people are joking about this, but what's your opinion on the, well, I dress from the waist up?
Okay.
And yoga pants on the bottom, or sweatpants or shorts or something like that. I'm not saying that you don't have anything on. I'm just saying.
No, I do. But I will share with you what I actually really am wearing, because I think it will be, I'm wearing Under Armour black sweatpants right now, right? I've got a black t-shirt and then this jacket.
Yeah.
My husband, it's funny because my husband, Tim, was a 30 plus year TV broadcasting veteran himself, and spent many, many years on the anchor desk. And this was a common joke, right? The anchors are they're all business from the waist up, but down, they're wearing jeans, they've got cargo shorts on, and, and sandals. So one of my colleagues who I used to work with, when we had our setup on the set where their feet were not shown, she used to wear green Crocs, like lime green Crocs. So she'd be dressed up like nylons, the whole bit, and then these lime green Crocs. And it was hilarious to watch her, walk around the newsroom like that. But it is a thing. It is a thing.
Well, yeah. I was on a podcast show that was recorded on video with actor Dean Cain.
Okay.
And Dean showed up to the studio. He had a nice shirt on, a jacket, shorts.
Yeah.
And basically, because the studio we were recording in wasn't air conditioned and it was in California. And I'm like, Dean, why are you dressed up like that? He goes, and I've known Dean, right? But he goes, I'm here for 8.5 hours doing these recordings. He said, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm learning to be comfortable.
I love that. It's definitely a thing.
And if you've seen on my YouTube channel where it says, where Dean Cain actually comes up on my channel and goes, hey, I hear Tim Gillette. Actually, that was recorded that day. And that's if you notice, it's from here because he had his shorts on below.
And you know what? I mean, here's the thing, right? A lot of us, we want to work from home.
Yeah.
There's certain advantages to working from home, right? I can just go over there and grab a coffee and I can wear my Under Armour sweatpants if I want to. And why not? If you're going to listen, entrepreneurship is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's personal development on steroids. Yeah. You are going to learn so much about yourself through entrepreneurship, and it isn't always easy, especially if you try to go it alone. But if you're going to go down this path, you might as well take advantage of the pluses where you can. Be comfortable, appreciate, and have gratitude for the fact that you can work from home.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know. Yeah, my wife is she has an office a couple miles away, but she's working from home, and we have a small condo, so she's downstairs. But every day she gets up and gets dressed. All right, even though we're at home, I've worn the same outfit pretty much for 10 years of my life. I wear jeans, so it's like I'm comfortable in what I do. But like now, I'm starting to think, because I'm doing so many interviews per day, that maybe I should change shirts between interviews. What's your, seriously, I want it because your video, what's your opinion on that? Because if you watch my videos all from today, they all have the same shirt on. You go, oh, well, he recorded them all on the same day.
You know what? I mean, here's the thing. I don't know your exact schedule, but it sounds like you're doing back to back to back.
Yes, yes, Sam.
You could definitely, you could do that if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's really that key for you necessarily to be changing shirts. For let's say how many interviews did you do today? Like maybe
this is number 3 and I have 3 more to go.
Okay. So 6. We've got 6 today. Yeah. It's fine. I don't see there's a problem with that. Where I think I would recommend to really be looking at the changing of the clothes more would be, for example, with YouTube, and you're creating recorded videos that are going to have more longevity, that are going to be out there for potentially years and years and years that people will be viewing them. You might want to consider having a different outfit and change it up from time to time. But I'm also not going to take a Princess Diana approach to this in the sense of you can only wear an outfit once. Definitely you want, listen, you invest in your look and your image, and you invest in good clothing. You should wear it over and over again. I don't think people obsess over that, but one of the things I do recommend, and one of the services we do, is we interview people on Zoom and then create videos for them from their answers. And what I do in that recording is I do say, okay, now change your clothes, and then I'll pause, and then they change, and then they come back, and then we continue recording. So I do encourage them to change their outfits because I want to create a different look and a different feel for each of those videos. Yes.
That's really, really cool. And literally, I mean, it's so cool to get that stuff with you. And you know, we've got, you know, a couple minutes left, but there is another area I wanted to touch on. Nowadays, with the cameras people are doing, are you recommending people, you know what I mean? Yes, you can create content with as simple as your smartphone, or are you saying, you know, invest in a little bit of equipment? Now, I've got lighting and I see you do too, but, you know, talk to me about equipment that you recommend for starting out, maybe.
You know what, I think, you know, Tim, the niche that I'm carving out and kind of the area that I'm working in is I want to fill a gap between doing nothing, having no visibility, having no presence online, and filling the gap between that and high-end video production, $1,000 per finished minute of video. Like I want to be the person who fills the gap in the middle. So for that, because of that, I do recommend phone. You know, upgrade your phone. If you're going to be using your phone as your phone, but as your business and your video camera, upgrade this phone to the highest capacity possible. That's one of the biggest tips that I can give, because it's frustrating when you only have so much storage. So it's worth it to upgrade. I'm using today a 4K Brio Logitech webcam. I love it. It's a great camera, far better than the built-in webcam on my laptop, on my MacBook Pro. And so again, webcam, smartphone, that's what I specialize in. I do have a small ring light behind my camera right now, but other than that, you're really good to go. Microphones is another thing. You know, we could get into a whole conversation around microphones. You as a podcaster, you know, audio is certainly important. I'm not obsessing over that right now, but certainly I'd recognize that audio is an important thing to consider as well.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So, I mean, yeah, and I like to make sure people understand using the basics. I'm using, you know, but I have a high camera. I'm still using my desktop camera, but I have an external microphone that's good. But I do a lot of my videos are done with the smartphone, and mine's I don't know, you've newer. Mine's an iPhone 7, so mine's old. I need to update. Yeah.
Mine's a 10 iPhone 10. Have had, and I am an Apple girl through and through. Love it.
Yeah.
You know, I love having everything in the ecosystem kind of matching, and so I do really recommend that. But again, any modern smartphone is capable of producing HD video.
Yeah.
That's really all you need.
Yeah, cool. So with that, all right, I know a lot of people are watching this. They want to get a hold of you. What's some areas that people can actually reach out to you, websites and stuff they can reach you from?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can find me at SherylPlouffe.com. And, you know, I was just mentioning about videos and producing them on my phone. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see the videos that I produce. They're all produced on a phone or on a webcam. So there's a real example. Just go and check out some of those videos. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I think we as entrepreneurs, we like to make our lives complicated. I don't know why we have that tendency. Why make it complicated? Keep it simple, focus on your message, focus on being of service. And I'm really, frankly, on a bit of a mission right now that we're in the post-COVID-19 or going into that world, that entrepreneurs really start needing to lean the process down. Like I'm going away from funnels. I'm going away from complicated funnels and all that craziness of cobbling 8,000 things together and all of that. I'm really looking to focus on really the income generating activities, the things that really move the needle for the business, but also that truly serve people. And so it's really about simplification. I think we're going to see a lot more of that coming in the next, months and years. So
I'm going to ask you this. So I built a funnel, all right, that I actually had you go through. What do you think of my funnel?
I loved it. Well, you know why? Because it was simple. Listen, I'm not the person.
It was, but yeah.
I don't have a funnel. Personally, I don't even really like the word funnel, but you have to have a system. Absolutely. You've got to have a system. What I'm referring to are like the complicated funnels. I see so many entrepreneurs who they got the Infusionsoft and the landing pages and the lead pages and the lead quizzes and the deadline funnels and and it's like, then they're not even serving people.
Yeah.
And so, no, yours was great. It was so simple and so clean. You got Calendly. You're using StreamYard. Just good.
And you noticed I asked the question to everybody because I have an event called Blog and Video Con, and I asked the question, do you have a podcast? Yes or no? And most people aren't getting the fact that they'll find out there's a reason. If you say yes, of course, I reach out and go, well, great. Can I be on your show? If you say no, hey, would you like to create a show? It's like, everybody doesn't know. That's simple funnel, people. That's finding out what people need and saying, okay, do you need this? Let me help. And I love how, your videos are all that way too. I went through looked at your YouTube channel. So yeah. So, Sheryl, it has been fun having you on the show. I see my last guest actually, just put this up. All right. Eli was my last guest before you. All right. And he put this up, seeing you on here. So we got to say hello to him.
Well, he and I are both purple. We're both Prince fans.
Oh,
so
okay.
We have like this, hey, Eli.
Yeah.
Good guy.
I don't have that on my quiz. I mean, I used to ask that. What was your favorite band growing, but anyway, I have one too, but mine's not Prince. I do love Prince, but it's not Prince.
Got it.
Yeah. So, Sheryl, I like to close out my show with a little game.
Cool.
My game is called This or That. I learned it from Sammy Hagar. I'd like to think I'm cooler than Sammy Hagar, but hey, we all have our own opinion, right? Sammy Hagar does this on his show, and I'm like, I like that, and I'm going to adapt it to my show. So I have about 8 or 9 questions, all right? Some can go on to other things based on how it goes, and they're just one or the other, all right? They're not meant to be offensive. They're not meant to be mean. They're just standard questions.
All right.
If you have an emotional opinion, by all means, share it.
Okay, I'm ready.
So I like to start off with this one just to see who's into it and who's not. If I were to ask you which one you like better, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Can I say neither? I'm not a science fiction, type person. But if I had to, I would probably go more towards Star Trek.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some people aren't, but it's like one of those starter questions. My starter question and my end question almost always are identical on every one. But this net's working here because now that I've seen you on one and you've been on one format, and I know somebody who's been on another format. Would you rather watch the Home Shopping Network or the Weather Channel?
Oh, the Weather Channel. Definitely. Definitely the Weather Channel. In fact, we've been watching it a lot more recently because we have, like a Fire Stick, because we weren't able to see that before when in our previous home. And so I love watching the Weather Channel. I do. Stephanie Abrams and Jim Cantori and that whole gang.
Well, I met Bob Sircosta from Home Shopping Network, and I'm trying to get him on the show too, but he's broadcasting every day from his house, Home Shopping Network still. So, but it's when you say the Weather Channel, like the Weather Channel here in the United States, a couple of years ago, a show came on called Fat Guys in the Woods. I don't know if you remember it or ever seen it. It was a weird thing, and it was only done in 2 seasons, right? We got into watching this because it was very inventive, right? The second season, because I was commenting on Twitter and social media about it when the show was going on, this guy reached out to me and said, hey, I'm on an upcoming episode. All right. Make sure you watch me. And I became friends with him, and I've had him on my podcast. And I had him on the day after his show aired. And it was so cool. And it was on the Weather Channel. And I now follow Creek Stewart because of it. I thought he was a real cool guy too.
Well, I remember at the Weather Network, and I don't know what era this is, but I do remember there being a real push from the Weather Channel to create more long form programming. So I'm sure that's probably what
it was. I mean, because there's a lot of shows they do, you know what I mean, like that are just too scary for me to watch. I don't want to find out about how the tornadoes killed people. I just or Sharknado or something like that. They call them. Like, nah, not me. So moving on. Would you rather have a drink of wine or beer?
Listen, I'm from Northern Ontario. I'm from a French Canadian mining town. My answer is beer. I do like beer. Funny story. My husband doesn't really drink very much of anything, actually alcoholic, but he'll occasionally have a beer or a glass of wine. But if we go to a restaurant, and order drinks, the drinks come over and it's a Budweiser or it's a Coors Light or it's something. And they'll immediately put it down in front of him, and then he slides it across the table to me. Very, very common. Very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this next one here may relate to the fact that you live in Canada. Is hockey or ice skating?
Oh, hockey all the way. My son is a high level rep goalie, and so we've been doing hockey forever. And he actually is. I've been on championship teams, Nations Cup, and etc. Yeah, no, we're all about hockey here for sure.
I figured, but I'm like, I got to throw that one in there. Yeah. So, all right, you're going out for fast food, taco or hamburger?
Ooh, toss up. Taco? No, I think hamburger. Yeah, I think it's got to be a hamburger for takeout, and probably Harvey's. Do you have Harvey's in the United States?
We don't have as many Hardee's as we used to, but I remember Hardee's. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Harvey's here, like that's what I would prefer. And then we actually like to do burritos here at the house. So if we do that, we'll do them like a homemade burrito.
Yeah, Gwen makes this taco salad that we make our own that is just fabulous. Yeah.
I love anything Mexican food is so good.
Yeah. So if you're going to the movies, all right, would you rather have popcorn or candy?
Oh, I rarely go to the movies, to be honest with you. Rarely watch movies.
Oh, okay.
But I think, if we went, I'd probably go toward popcorn, probably.
Popcorn? Okay. You put the butter onto it, or just
a little extra butter. I like both. I like candy too.
Okay.
We're not much of a movie family at all. Certainly not going to the movies. We did go recently. What did we see? I can't recall. Jumanji?
Yeah, I didn't see the latest Jumanjis yet. I know that there's 2 of them now, and I have not seen them. I seen the original with Robin Williams.
Yeah, I saw the second one here, and it was good. It was really good, but we just rarely go.
Yeah. All right. So, would you rather dress up or walk around in yoga pants?
If you'd asked me in 2010, I would have said dressing up. If you asked me in 2020, I say dressing down. Yeah. I like to be comfortable. And that's just something, I think over time, like with age, I'm in my late 40s now. I'm all about the comfort. Like I'm looking for flat shoes now. I used to go for like the stiletto heels, the platform, and it's like, I think those days are done for me.
Yeah, that was usually another one I usually put in for girls is I usually say heels or boots or heels or flats, but I didn't put that one in this one this time. This next one and my last 2 are my interesting ones, but this next one here is one that could create wars if you have it right now in the world, and that is toilet paper, under or over?
Over.
Over? Okay.
Yeah.
So some people get very passionate about this.
Although I don't like fold the little diamond and all of that, but yeah, over.
I had a girl on last week, Sheryl, that literally, she said, you know what I mean? I go to if I'm dating a guy and after the 3rd time of having to switch it from under to over, I break up with him. He's not meant for me.
If that's going to be the deciding factor, there's some deeper problems there.
Yeah. But I've had some of the most passionate, some of the most calmest people through the whole interview. You ask them that question. Oh, I mean, they get mean. It's the weirdest thing to get passion out of people.
I am not a person who, I know some people do kind of go obsessive about little things like that. I'm not a traditionalist. I'm definitely not that kind of person. I think my husband is a little bit more of that way, like a little bit more traditional, but I'm very like open-minded and things like that don't bother me one bit.
Okay. So then let me ask the last one then. Okay. Boxers or briefs?
Boxers. I think. I don't know. How about this? Let me change my answer. When you say boxers or briefs, I say clean.
Clean, yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, after years of marriage, it's like, who cares? As long as he, my wife, is like probably just as long as they're clean and I don't have to say
or clean, but no, and that they're not like threadbare. Like that would be that would be great.
Show has been fun having you on the show today. So tell everybody, even on the audio, so they can hear your websites and stuff, and make sure that we find you on the internet.
Yeah. So for those listening, SherylPlouffe.com, SHERYL. Plouffe is a good old French Canadian name, PLOUFFE.com. And then you can just search my name on Facebook, search my name on YouTube, search my name on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever. I'm at Sheryl Plouffe pretty much everywhere on social media. Love to connect with you and help you out in any way I can to help you increase your authority and income with video.
Cool. Well, guys, it's another show, and I just want to thank you, the Tim Gillette Show, for coming in and joining us on the show. Thank you, Sheryl, for being on our show today.
Thank you.
Guys, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tim Gillette Rocks, as well as on Anchor FM, and we are also now on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. But subscribe. Catch our next show. I'm Tim Gillette, the Tim Gillette Show, and I'll see you next time.